everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel and I'm currently in economics undergraduate course offered holder at Trinity College, Cambridge. I've recently been motivated to make a YouTube video, so I thought I would share my interview experience, which happened last year in December, while it's still fresh in my mind. So first off, as a disclaimer, this is purely based on my personal experience and feelings, which may vary a lot if you come from a different educational background. I did 4 A-levels in maths, further maths, economics, and physics, which is a typical combo for Asian econ applicants. Also, it's down to the specific college to assess you, so they may have very different marking criteria. Moreover, because of COVID, my interview was remote, which will hopefully not be the case next year and for many years to come. So without further ado, let's get to my interview experience. So as you know, economics is a subject that uses conscientious methods to examine the human society. So both your reading/essay skills and math skills will be tested. Essays have been tested in entrance exams for Cambridge Economics, known as the ECA exams, which happened like a month or so before the interview, just after October half term. So in the interview, it's important that they test your reading skills and math abilities. This may come as a surprise, but for economics, especially when you apply to undergraduate courses, economics knowledge is actually not that important. I personally started off determined to do law when I first entered sixth form, so I just picked econ as an additional essay subject that might be helpful in me applying to law. I even attempted to drop further maths as a result, so thank God my head of sixth form stopped me from doing that. I ended up loving econ and decided to do it at uni during December, Christmas, the first year of sixth form. This means that by the time that I have decided to do econ and also to the time that I have my interview, I only had less than 1 year to actually dig up some real economics knowledge and put them in my brain, which is difficult and I didn't successfully do much. So it's fair to say that what they're looking for is actually your logical reasoning, critical thinking, and math capabilities. And as the saying goes, whether you're a teachable applicant or not. So these abilities obviously cannot be gained through fast training. So rest assured, if you are still an econ amateur and want to apply to econ, because I was and I still am. So my interview experience consisted of 2 parts. First, we were required to read an economics-related article with questions attached at the end for 1 hour, and then we were given 15 minutes to discuss the article and the questions with the interviewers. Then, as I had 2 interviewers, the other interviewer showed me a math question and discussed it with me for another 15 minutes. Some people may tell you that personal statement is very important, which I heard can be true for some colleges and some majors, and there's definitely no harm at all in going over a personal statement and familiarizing yourself with them again. But in my interview, there was no personal statement material involved whatsoever. Also, people may suggest that since they tell you who your interviewer is several weeks up to the actual interview, you can go and look up the interviewers and what they do. I personally think this would be helpful in terms of you getting familiar with the interviewers so that you won't be as anxious as you're actually doing the interview. But I don't think it will pay off as much if you actually take the time to sit down and read their research, because each applicant will have the same questions set by them in advance. So it doesn't really matter whether you're familiar with the area of research or not. So specifically for the article, it was honestly very short and it took me only 15 minutes to read and answer the questions, and the other 45 minutes I just perfected my answers and chilled, which is fine. So I got to use a lot of behavior economics knowledge at the end, as it's a key part of my EPQ project. So an interesting or not incident is, for one question I now know I definitely answered incorrectly. The interviewer even asked me the question all over again, which was quite frustrating, and I even repeated my answer, which you obviously shouldn't do. But the takeaway is, if you can't answer that question, the interviewer will actually guide you through. This way, it's even better than knowing the answer beforehand, because they will actually give you new perspectives added in, and your answers will be elevated to a higher level, which is obviously desirable. So for the math section, again, it was not very difficult itself, because the math knowledge involved is obviously A-level based, because they can't expect every applicant to have done further maths, because not everyone has the resources. But I would personally suggest that revising calculus is always beneficial. So in my question, some new concepts were introduced, but the interviewers went through them in great patience and detail. In my interview, I wasn't exactly very patient and made some blatant guesses about the concept, which didn't seem to please them. So then again, things happen. It's okay. It's okay to be silly. The questions, despite not being very difficult, did require a lot of careful consideration and clear workings, which I didn't have. So take your time. It's okay if you can't blurt out the answer right away, because they don't expect you to, and show them your working, your way of thinking, and I'm sure they will see your gem. So my interview was in total only half an hour. It was very short in my opinion, and my interviewers told me that I even overran by 5 minutes, which means that they only scheduled 25 minutes for each applicant. But this is very different from different colleges, and especially in remote conditions, because in my knowledge, in past years, when you can actually go to Cambridge and have the interviews, people had 2 interviews, and this year some of my friends even had 2 remote interviews, which were 4 to 5 minutes long. So you can say that shorter interviews are easier, as interviews always a torture for introverts, but you can also say that longer interviews reduce the chance of you just blowing up in one interview, and you get more time to show off your abilities. So no matter what your arrangements are, which you can't determine, there is always good things and you can seize them. So onto some generic advice about prepping for interviews. Mocks are very important no matter which college, which subject you're applying to. Real life interviews are vastly different from you just sitting in your own room and doing mock questions. So I would suggest that you can go up to your uni application center at your school and ask them for advice, which I'm sure they will be happy to give you. You can also find family, friends, some seniors at your school, and people already in uni to give you advice and maybe help you do mock interviews, which is always beneficial. So about dressing for the occasion, which I paid a lot of thought and didn't end up doing anything at all, because I wore uniform as I had the remote interview at my school. But my takeaway is, it's always a good idea to dress smart casual, and more importantly, just wear something that makes you feel comfortable and confident. And if you're having a remote interview, always wear shoes, because you're in a whole different mode then. Just remember, professors are also people like us, and treat the interview like a friendly convo that you will get to converse with the greatest minds of Cambridge about some interesting economic ideas. I know it's very difficult to do so, but Just have this idea in mind and be yourself and don't stress, and they will absolutely love you. So good luck if you have the interview. You have all my best wishes. Okay, thanks for watching. That's it for today's video, and bye.